Federal Judge David-Wynn.
Hey, sir, how are you?
Good. Was they successful?
Yes, we're in. Now we only have just me and you, and Monty and my partner Steve are trying to call back as well.
Okay.
So, how have you been? I've researched a lot of your videos, and I've actually been studying you for about 6 months, trying to have the mind grasp the technology. And I'm telling you, it's very difficult at the beginning. At the beginning, it seems as if you don't know where to start, what to look for. Hello?
I'm here. Hi.
All right. So my partner Steve, Judge David is on the phone.
Hi, David.
Hi, Steve.
Okay, so and Monty is still here, correct?
He's on his way.
No. He's on his way. Okay. It sounds like he just got in.
All right, we made it, guys. All right.
Is David in?
Yes.
Okay, so I was talking
so
to
run with it and yeah, go ahead.
yeah. So I was talking to David, and I was telling Steve a little bit about how my meeting with Monty went and how this technology's come about, why I started studying, then Monty, meeting with him. It's all, we all kind of have the same feeling. The same feeling is understanding and knowing that the system at hand is corrupt and it's wrong. I stumbled along this technology from David after I went through the whole Constitution argument, the whole free man theory, the Dean Cliffords, and all these people that want to understand the Constitution and they want to fight for their rights, and then understanding that now we have no rights, and the wind kind of gets sucked out of your sails, and then you find something like this. So now I have my partner Steve, who I usually go to for most of my advice and things like that, and I'm sure he has a lot of questions for David of how the technology works and how something that is so corrupt will actually adhere to this system. So go ahead, Steve.
Well, first of all, thanks for taking time. I really appreciate it, guys. I know you're busy, so I appreciate you being on the call. And I'll try to make this quick. I haven't spent as much time as I should actually going through the video series that David, you put up. And I should probably go through it in more detail. I'm sure most of the answers are there. But yesterday when I talked to Joe, he suggested that maybe if we got on a quick call, you could help clear some of the questions up. So basically, I have a background, and I grew up in the Kabbalistic mysticism, and I'm also Jewish. So I understand gematria, and I understand word value, I understand the alphabet and how it works. So when I saw, David, your kind of concept about how letters had values against numbers and against sentence structure, it kind of touched me because I have an understanding of that process. One of the things that came up, though, however, when I started to watch this series, and I, again, didn't watch it all the way through, so I apologize for my incompetence toward that, but is that I wasn't sure where the actual rule values were coming from, where they were established, and how you came about, coming to the understanding of how they worked in terms of the number value and how they appeal to the sentence structure, the syntax itself. So could you help me understand that? Okay.
Sure. One is an adverb. One comes before a verb. Because one modifies the two. Adverbs modify verbs. Adjectives always come in front of a pronoun. You can't have it any other way. Three comes before a four. You can't have it any other way. And one that comes before a three, which comes before a four. So it's a natural order of operation. The prepositional phrase, or what we call the position loadial fact, is a 5, 6, 7. That's also a fixed series of three numbers coming together in sequence, and there's no other combination you can put them in. The past always comes before the future, and 8 always comes before 9, and 0 is a conjunction which has no modifying conditions with and or in any condition of any grammar, whether it be fact or fiction. So it was a natural phenomena to have 0 through 9 as a single digit cover all the positions of grammar. When the teacher taught you never start a sentence with a prepositional phrase, when you remove the preposition from a prepositional phrase, you have an adverb verb, which disqualifies your ability to use a fact. 3 times 3 times 3 equals 27. 3 times 3 times 3 times 0 equals 0. A fact times a fact times a fact equals a fact. But a fact times a fact times a lie equals a lie. Now you can get on a witness stand and testify all day long the facts and tell one lie, and all your testimony is thrown out. You can fill out an insurance form and go through 400 interrogatories and then write a 400 number affidavit, and if there's one discrepancy, any fact times 0, any number of facts times 0 equals 0, and any number of facts times a lie equals a lie, and you're disqualified to collect your insurance premium. So you've got you've got a series of scenarios here. We have other documents that we syntax with ABC. Sometimes we use colors in the past. Now, if I'm going to go in front of a jury, and I'm going to be 30 feet away from a jury where they can't see anything, and the judge is going to try to obstruct, I'll go ahead and use pink for an adverb, yellow for a verb, purple for an adjective, and green for a pronoun. And as fast as I can hold up flashcards with 350 words on a page, the jury can read all the color codes and say, where's the preposition, article, and noun? All I see is adverbs and adjectives, which are modifiers of a pronoun, and verbs, which are not facts. So therefore, nothing has been said. So it shows grammatically, as well as mathematically, that the attorneys, judges, lawyers, insurance companies, all your religions are only modifying, but they are not showing any facts. A modification is what we call could be perjury, could be art, A-R-T, an illusion, I-L-L, could be imagination, I-M, could be an attorney, A-T-T. Anytime you have a vowel and two consonants, the contract, the word means no contract. Take the word correct, C-O-R-R-E-C-T. C-O-R comes from corporation, and R-E-C-T comes from rec, or to build, so which is joining, which is construction. So therefore you have a contract construction. That's what correct is. Put I-N in front of it and incorrect. Now you have a vowel and two consonants, which means no correct contract, right?
Okay, yeah, so,
now you have the word come, and the IRS said you didn't pay taxes on income. And in is no of come. How can you pay taxes on no come? Which is no contract. You signed the IRS form, but the IRS is owned by the attorneys, the judges, and the lawyers, which is the Bar Association. So therefore, they're not part of government. They're private clubs that collect taxes from people. And when you walk into a foreign vessel in dry dock called the court, you have just left planet Earth, and now you're on the spaceship of a foreign country or a foreign planet, where all humans, 8.6, are babbling. They speak a foreign language. They're a foreign vessel on a foreign vessel. So therefore, there's no communication, so they call you a pro se. P-R-O means no, and S-A is speak, no speak. Then the judge orders you to respond. R-E meaning no, and spond means to talk. So he's ordering you to no talk. The correct word is correspond. So therefore, you have one position says you have a contract to talk, the other one says you cannot talk. So when you enter this foreign vessel in dry dock and you've left your state, respective state you live in, you have left planet Earth, And now you have no right. Why don't you just run down to the dock in San Francisco and jump on a Chinese freighter or a Russian freighter without a seaman's pass, without a bill of lading, without any identification, and watch how long it takes you to get thrown into the rig for trespassing on a foreign country. It's no different when you walk into a courthouse. The courthouse is a foreign country. When you walk in there and your paperwork is not in order with a stamp on it making you a postmaster, because the post office controls the port authorities, which controls the Department of Transportation, which controls the Treasury and the money, and the post office, when you put a stamp on your document and you file it with the post office first, makes you a postmaster because you signed your name across the stamp to deliver the mail to the foreign vessel in dry dock under the jurisdiction of the port authority. So therefore, you're already contracted to the port authorities as a maritime bill of lading as a postmaster to deliver the mail with immunity. Therefore, if you have something to say to the captain of the ship of a foreign vessel called the port room, you have authorization. But the document that you just signed now becomes the vessel of paper, whether it be a 300,000-ton super tanker or a piece of paper, it's still a vessel. The vessel comes to the port of the court with a stamp on it. So the letter carrier is bringing the vessel to be docked, D-O-C-K-E-T, and get a docket number. Therefore, you then are called a document with a file stamp from the foreign vessel in dry dock, which becomes your maritime bill of lading, and when you sign your name across the docket number stamp, then you become the postmaster of that foreign vessel in dry dock. Now you have a postal position between the postmaster of the foreign vessel and the postmaster of your vessel. Now you have a legitimate bill of lading to enter a courtroom with the correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar. And when the judge turns around and reaches up for the revised statute of your state, which is written in 100% adverb verb fiction, you can say, sorry, sir, you can't use that. You have no continuance of evidence with the current court, which is a paper on the table under Maritime Law of Commerce, which has a $1 stamp, which you signed and endorsed. So therefore, what? Hang on a second. Huh? I know it's got a broken one. This is the one that works.
Oh, I know that.
Put the big one over there and say it away. Sorry, let's try this one.
Oh, it's over.
I think I should put it on your tongue. Give it a shock to work. Is that me? Find one that works. No, you touched it.
Where's that?
Stop door. Close the door. Sorry about that, guys. And so when you walk into the court,
It's all right. We're charging by the hour.
When you walk into a courtroom and you have your paperwork in order, you're going to walk out of there. Now, if the judge says, "Well, I'm not going to abide by any of that," well, he doesn't treat you. That means he's guilty of constructive treason against you. And now the postal inspectors have arrest powers because the port authorities are in charge, and the postal inspectors have arrest powers of anyone on that vessel that has violated the treaty with the post office.
David, can you say that again? I think that seems to be one of the most important parts, because a lot of people are asking, we know that the courts are corrupt, so why would they adhere to this? And I think that's the answer. If you don't mind, just say that again.
Well, the courts have learned that if they cooperate with our technology, being quantum, and use and allow the quantum paperwork to come in, that they can be arrested by the postal inspectors for criminal behavior, for not abiding by the contract that allows them to dock their vessels on planet Earth in the first place. Now,
I'd also like to point out, David, I'd also like to point out these guys need to know where the court is.
The court's the paperwork.
People are missing.
The Federal Postal Court is a piece of paper. It is not a building. We ordered open Benjamin Franklin's Federal Postal Court in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on 12/21/2012. It has a new charter under Title 28, Section 636, a new federal oath of office for the judges, new embossing stamps and file stamps for the clerks of the court. So we have clerks of the court registered with the Department of Justice, the Supreme Court, the United States Supreme Court. We have, and we trump the United States Supreme Court by 24 years, using the correct part say syntax grammar. Under Title 42, 1986, for knowledge of a fraud and the right to stop and correct it, we have stopped and corrected it under Title 42, 1986. By doing so, we have trumped all courts in the United States, and now the federal postal court is the senior court of this country. Any other fiction court that has been created after the fact of 1775, an adverb verb has no standing. The United States Supreme Court since 1799 has never issued an order or a command. It has only issued opinions, written in adverb verb by judges with a second grade reading level. And that's where they've kept the entire judiciary, every lawyer, every attorney, every judge, and all people of the United States, 3.8 million, or 3.6 million, 360 million people have a second grade reading level. If you cannot read and write in quantum mathematical procedures, which is a 29 reading level, you can be harvested for lack of knowledge.
Okay, so David, that makes sense. I understand the basic concept. Obviously, there's a lot to chew on here, but let me ask you another question. What happens if I understand syntax and I take syntax into the presence of a courtroom and a judge who doesn't necessarily understand it, and they just completely refuse to accept it, and they act illegally, but that they act the way that they want to act and proceed the way they want to proceed, and the harm comes to me or whoever's using the syntax? How do you overcome that problem?
That comes under a de novo. When the judge will not adhere to the correct part-based syntax grammar, he activates the writ of de novo because of fraud and misleading statements.
So I understand that, but who actually serves out the punishment for that? I mean, if the system in and of itself doesn't really want to follow the correct, whether it's correct or not, they just don't either understand it or they refuse to follow it. Who carries out the punishment against that unlawful action by the judge?
That's done by the postal inspector, because that's a vessel in dry dock, and the vessel in dry dock is not adhering to the treaty to hear grievances, but at the same time is using false and misleading statements to handicap an individual under Title 29, Chapter 16, Section 701 of the Disabilities Act, handicapping a person. The vessel in dry dock called the, what state are you guys in, by the way?
California.
Okay, state of California. State is a pronoun, of is an adverb, making California a verb fiction. The verb fiction has a treaty with the 1964 Civil Rights Act under the Disabilities Act to put wheelchair ramps in. All the streets all over California have wheelchair ramps so that handicapped people can travel, get around. Otherwise, they've been discriminated against. It's no different when it comes to grammar. If the handicap ramp goes to the courthouse, then they are under treaty to not handicap an individual. By modification of grammar in violation of Title 18, 1001, and 1002, and Title 15, Section 1692E, under false and misleading statements, for the penalty under Title 15, Section 78F for a $25 million fine and 30 years in prison. Title 18, Section 1341 for the use of money under mail fraud while engaged in the fictitious conveyance of language in violation of Title 15, Section 1635A, where a 3-day rescission was not exercised to notify you that false and misleading statements were going to be used, results in a Title 15, Section 1639A for the penalty of 4 times what other monies they have extorted from you, interest on your mortgages or damages against you, which then comes under the Clayton Act, 1914, which came out of the Sherman Act, 1906. So the documents are filed under the False Claims Act, Title 31, Section 3729 to 3733, because of you're a whistleblower under the witness protection and are entitled to new Social Security number and credit score as a result of you blowing the whistle on a financial corporation for treason against the people, bank fraud, fictitious conveyance of language, and that's how you tie all that together.
Now, have you found that you've come across judges that aren't willing to allow the correct grammar syntax in their rooms? And have you found someone who's willing to, or a postmaster general, or that organization, as I'm not clear on how it functions internally, willing to go after that judge and actually enact punishment toward that particular judge?
Last week, we shut down Austin, Texas, where we had 4 federal judges, 12 U.S. attorneys that stole $8.6 billion from probate over 7 years, and 1 clerk out of the Court of Appeals in New Orleans who went to jail as a co-conspirator to cover it up for anything that got past them that would get to the Court of Appeals. We've taken out state of Wisconsin here, my own city of Milwaukee courthouse. We removed 12 judges out of here, 2 Rivers, Wisconsin, replaced their entire government. In California, Orange County, Judge Ferguson was suspended for 2 years when he lost control of his courtroom because 2 plus 2 equals 4, EO plus TOO equals 4, and the jury had to be discharged. The IRS refused to prosecute a $1.6 million case, and the district attorney prosecuting the case, and Frank Martino's case, recused himself. And Ferguson was then fired by his father, who is the senior federal judge of California and the senior master mason of all lodges in California.
Wow.
So ever since then, Ferguson, any place, state or federal, any county, north, south, east or west, central, in California, that a case is filed with my name on it, it goes to Judge Ferguson in Orange County. Right, and he's also outlawed to touch my paperwork, but he acts behind the scenes because he's got a bone to pick with me. Him and Douglas, that's his age.
Now that's you bring up something that would make sense to me. It would seem like most of these corrupt. Because to be honest with you, I mean, we know there's going to be people who are fair, honest, and righteous about these things. They're going to look at them and say, this is right, it's true, it's honest, and whether I'm at fault or not, this is the way it should be. And you're going to have a group or collective that's not going to care about any of that, not going to care about truth, not going to care about have any empathy toward people. And have you found that those people collectively come together in terms of fighting this particular kind of grammar syntax? Are they trying to find ways around it?
They enforce us, yes. Remember the old adage? Locked, thief, honest people, honest. But a thief will find a way in no matter what and break the law.
Yeah.
Okay, you have no difference in the courtroom. You have judges that are corrupt, they only speak in adverb verb, attorneys that only speak in adverb verb, lawyers speak in adverb verb. All 3 of these departments swear an oath that no law or fact shall be tried in court. Every politician, Congress, the Senate, the legislature, Supreme Court, your local aldermen, every single one of them, police officers, sheriffs, captains, everybody that works for government, 3 million people, swear an oath that no law or fact shall be tried in court. That's why the sign says no parking, don't walk, no trespassing. And knows an adverb modifies the verb trespassing, and parking, which is a condition of state, not a verb, so that's a lie, so they put a box around it. Anything in a box with an enclosed area can't be considered. Next, March 1st, 1997, I sued the United States Department of Treasury as a federal judge for putting a box around the money, dictating all United States currency. And 6 weeks later, in June of 2007, all the new money came out. And if you don't believe me, look at the back of the money you got in your wallet right now. All the boxes have been removed except the $1 bill, which is Masonic. Then Bill Clinton got caught with his... Well, then, in June of 1997, we wrote the Constitution of Hawaii, and we filed that at The Hague. Bill Clinton had to apologize July 1st to the Hawaiians for stealing the Hawaiian Islands in 1893, and again in 1957 for statehood. With that said, he had 2 documents on his desk which showed that David Miller knew how to do the correct parsec syntax grammar. So in August, when he got caught with his zipper down, he hired me to be his counsel. And so Bill and I became friends at that point. Him and Hillary have been students of mine ever since. That's why they've enjoyed nobody prosecuting them. Bill Clinton was the witness, and the question is, what is sex? The answer is, depends on what the definition of is.
Right.
Then he turns to the I just showed the American people a verb is and a noun is. Would you like me to show them another verb and another noun? And the judge comes back, there'll be no further questions, this court stands adjourned. Well, with that said, the world goes, what the hell happened? He was asked one question, he demurred in the case of Steele. So then Bill says, well, I worked with, but I got to go in front of Congress, and I can't take my lawyers with me. So how am I going to answer these questions for Congress, which I don't want to talk about? He says, well, you remember the movie A Few Good Men with Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson? You want the truth? I'll tell you the truth, but you can't handle the truth. You guys remember that?
Yes.
Absolutely, yeah.
So then, by the way, Jack Nicholson won Best Actor that year for that little statement, and the picture won Best Picture. And Tom Cruise won Best Supporting Actor that year. Getting back, I told Bill, I said, well, do the same thing in Congress. Take a $1 bill out of your pocket. Walk in there and hold it up in front of Congress and says, you want the truth? I'll tell you the truth before we get started. We take you all back to being 10 years old, where you learned about prepositional phrases and sentence diagramming. Because everybody at the Congress then probably went to a prep school. So then he says, so, the words on the document say the United States of America. And there's 2 autographs on this document. Well, we have a preposition and a the article, except they're separated. That makes them both adverbs. Anytime you have a vowel and 2 consonant means no contract, and so both adverbs are a no contract word because they're a modifier. The adverb the modifies an adjective united. The adjective is spelled ADJ, which is coloring of something. Therefore, you changed it, which is perjury. So the adjective united, UN means no, and ITE means citizen. That's the parsec. The adverb modifying the adjective now modifies the pronoun state. PRO means no, NO means no, and UN means no in Latin. So we have a no condition of state. The condition of state is the pronoun is now connected to the adverb of. Again, ADV, no contract, which now modifies. Modifies is change, change is motion, motion is action, and action is verb. America is now a dangling participle verb on the money. Anybody want to show me the verb America? Where do you live in your facts America? Well, if it's a verb America, which it certifies to be here, it's mail fraud, Title 18, Section 1341, because it's under the fictitious conveyance of language. Title 18, 1001 carries a 10-year, $10,000 fine. Under mail fraud, it's a $1 million fine and 30 years in jail. And under Title 15, Section 1692E, it's a false and misleading statement, which carries a $25 million fine and 30 years in prison. Under a Title 15, Section 78FF, better known as the Bernie Madoff case, who stole $69 billion from Wall Street.
Wow.
We have Title 18-242, depriving the rights of the citizens of America by coloring the grammar. And then on the other side of the note, here it says, this note. This is an adverb making note to be a verb. Does this look like a verb to you? So you see, ladies and gentlemen, this is a fraud. Now in 2 weeks I have to address the union and I have to tell the world, because everybody wants the truth, which is an opinion, that America's a burden of money and I have to disqualify all United States currency that 100 countries depend on at the union address, or you can seal my case. All those in favor of sealing the case, raise your hand. 102 hands go up, and he walks out and doesn't say a word, and nobody ever hears about Bill Clinton again, not to this day. Hillary runs for president of the United States, and not even North Korea, Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, or anybody else on the planet, China, Russia, make any comments about Bill Clinton or Hillary. Because the Universal Postal Union in Bern, Switzerland controls all 250 countries' currencies, and all 250 countries' currencies are false and misleading under mail fraud, and all currency on planet Earth would be disqualified under the fraction banking system, which is no more than an illusion backed by gold or silver.
So, David, that makes sense. I understand completely what you mean there and how that storyline works and fits perfectly. But completely. Let me ask you another question, though. If you refer back to the titles that are written in terms of the punishments, couldn't they also argue that those are also written in incorrect syntax and are not?
No, because I rewrote every single title we use in the correct parsing syntax grammar. I rewrote Form 95, which is required to accompany all complaints to the Federal Department of Justice, to the Court Division, to the Postal Inspectors, to the Securities and Exchange and Consumer Fraud Protection Bureau. I rewrote everything so it all matches up, all has stamps on it, all certified, and all those documents are being kept as a class action by all 5 agencies.
Okay, so the instruments in which you use to back up the punishments for the crimes or the unlawful actions committed by the judges, have they themselves be rewritten so they can be enforceable? Yes. Got it. Okay, that's very interesting.
When you rewrite those in the correct parsing syntax grammar, a fiction can never come into a fact, and a fact can never go into a fiction. Your paperwork is the court, not the building. So when you dock your court, whatever judge signs on to it must obey the rules, regulations, and codes of our paperwork, because we are a federal postal court, and we have issued judgment. Anybody touches that, wants to join with it, must abide by the rules of that court, or they are guilty of constructive treason and will be sued for treason, perjury, and racketeering. And they will give us their signed confession by their own conduct.
Now, just so I understand.
Of course, everybody that's in a courthouse is dealing in fraud.
Yeah, that's apparent to me. I understand, especially when it comes down to the language and the way that it's presented. One of the questions, I want to go back a little bit real quickly, and I don't want to keep it too long here, so I'm going to make this fast. One of the questions I had was, when you mentioned reading the existing incorrect language on a contract, really what you're saying is the first time you find the error or the falseness or the lie in the contract, it null and voids the entire thing.
Absolutely. Any number times 0 is 0.
Okay. So, yeah, I get that. So, really all...
The law requires that all sentences be numbered, because if you lose a sentence due to fraud, you don't lose the document. But because the mortgage contracts are 125% fraud with 4,500 mistakes, these are engineered fraud, like building a space shuttle with 3 billion components. If you make one mistake, it blows up on the pad like in '83, or disintegrates over Texas like 2009.
Yeah.
You see, it only takes one heat panel to be missing, and you burn up. There are no mistakes. in certain departments.
Okay, so are you suggesting then that there's a difference between the intention behind the drafting of the document? Can you actually say one party did it deliberately?
Absolutely, it's a mathematical procedure. Frontwards and backwards is certified. It was engineered to be a fraud by the Fannie Mae Freddie Mac, which is the Department of Housing. The banks were going to nationalize the United States housing market. Stalin did it in 17. Mao Zedong did it in 34. Then the United States banking system said, we'll do it a different way through fraction banking and collapse it after 85 years and get everybody. Well, I blew the whistle on it in 2008 when I syntaxed Washington Mutual, and 3 days later they filed bankruptcy, and their stock went from $60 to 10 cents overnight. Same thing happened. The Citibank went from 47 to 10 cents. Bank of America went from 46 down to about $2. Wells Fargo went from 35, I think it was, down to $1. You know, and they're all sort of coming back now.
And this has to do with all of the problems contractually, with the incorrect writing of the contracts.
All about syntax. All the syntax lawsuits, line filing have impacted every single banking industry and put over 1,480 banks out of business in the last 5 years.
Okay, so what about the common man that signs a contract or writes a contract? Is it that
it's not it is not a contract. A contract requires an offer and an acceptance by two parties. Your mortgage is only signed by you, not by the bank. And all the words on the document are straight lines and curved lines. And if you try to make sense of adverb verb, you haven't said anything. You haven't said anything. You haven't read anything. You haven't written anything. It's one big fat lie, and they stand up in front of a judge and say, I want to use this perjury to take that man's house. And that's a lie. So I now have a signed confession to sue him with the Department of Justice, the Tort Division, and the mail fraud, and securities in exchange for the because under Title somebody stole my phone.
Oh no.
Hang on a second, guys.
Sure.
Hey, where's the phone? That's it.
So, Steve, are you getting all this? I mean, is it registering? I mean, are things starting to make sense?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the issue here is that once you can prove that the language that's being used is incorrect and it's outside of logical or correct syntax or sentence structure, you can say that everything is basically either two things. One was done without the intention to deceive. It was just done through stupidity and ignorance. Or two, you can contend that it was absolutely done with the intention to harm, which is two very different, radically different things. My question, though, is
yes,
when David comes back...
They both fall under a position of usury. If you use fraudulent parsing, syntax, grammar, you fall into a usury scenario of being turned into a slave and being harvested. Okay.
So if you... Right, so anything that I accept, I'm basically accepting I'm basically acknowledging at that point that I'm a slave and I'm able to be harvested for the system. I get
well,
that.
no, you be a slave and not have no...
Okay.
What do you mean?
How can you be acknowledging yourself to be a slave when the individual who's talking is babbling an adverb verb?
That was my question.
Right.
Got it.
No, I asked...
Say that again, guys. Say that again. We had some...
You and I say, what is your name?
Okay.
Yeah, you asking me?
Yes.
I said, I'm making a statement to you. What is your name?
I'm afraid to... I don't want to say anything at all right now. You tell me...
What is your name? Then you would say Steve, and then he would say, no, that's wrong, because what is not your name? Who's on first? Who's on first?
Of the word statement didn't you understand? Isn't the statement ending with a period? I just called you a what. What is your name? What is a pronoun? Is an adverb. Your is an adverb, and name is a verb. So would you like to be a pronoun today called what, or would you like to be a verb called what?
Totally understand that. I totally realize
question. I specifically said it. I specifically said it was going to be a statement.
Right. So here, Dave, let me ask you another question.
Because if you don't pay attention, you're going to pay attention.
Yeah, I understand what you mean completely, and that's why I'm a little bit. It takes some time to digest the actual process of understanding the sentence structure. I think it's a learning process. I'm going to ask you another thing before we go. Do you see that this knowledge in general has benefit to the common person? In other words, is it able to be, do you really feel that it's able to be recognized and usable to a common person? Is this something that you just feel you have to do, and there's an elite small group of people that would also partake in digesting and understanding it and using it for the betterment of society? So, and I'm asking you this because I want to understand if there's a way that, are you trying to get this out to the masses, or are you just trying to hold it inside a tight circle that can do the most good?
I have 5 billion people in 150 languages over a 25-year period registered on my website. So you tell me, I control 85% of all the intelligence on computers in 150 languages worldwide. Yes, China has adapted this, and they've been teaching it at colleges and universities and high schools since September 2012. Korea's been using it since 2008, South Korea. The Bar Association teaches it at the Bar Association College in Colorado for the past 5 years to the graduating class of seniors, so that they understand what happens when they get hit by one of these lawsuits.
Morpheus meet Neo, Neo meet Morpheus.
You're just the next generation that learned how to use the computer and discovered it. And millions of people who already know about this have died, and new millions of people are coming up and learning. So the constant rotation of evolution, and that's always going to happen.
Right.
There's always going to be a constant feed of evolution and people learning how to be correct.
David, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but Steve is probably going to be one of the fastest and quickest students that you may have ever had. Besides Monty, of course.
Well, you can study now, or you can study in jail where you don't have any books.
Right.
Yeah, right.
If you know how to do this, they're not going to put you in jail, because if you put one guy in jail with quantum knowledge among 2,500 prisoners with second grade reading level, and you got a federal judge reading level of 29, how long do you think it's going to take you to take over the whole entire prison? Because the only way anybody's getting out of there is if they use the correct parsing, syntax, grammar to vacate their case. You become king of the hill.
Yeah, I totally understand that. Now, my thing, Dave, with this is that I see that there's a way to, and obviously you know this, I'm not saying anything new, but there's obviously a way to educate people so that they can return to a life of fairness, really. I don't think it's about taking advantage of anything. I really think it's just about becoming honest and clear and fair with each other, not only with neighbors, people in general, but with the system itself, by causing it to correct the way it's been abusing people. And is this, I mean, I'm sure this is what your general motivation is and your intention behind it, right?
This is right. I am a neat person. I have absolute control to destroy all 250 governments, or to teach them how to be correct and unify the world in a peaceful communications, because no one ever went to war over a math problem in the entire history of mankind. No religion, no faith, no sex, no political organization or country has ever gone to war over a math problem. They only go to war over miscommunications and greed and lies.
Absolutely, 100% agree with you. There's always a solution between two parties, and it's usually because neither party is understanding the other in almost all cases. I agree with you completely. The last question I have, and I'll let you go because I don't want to keep you, I'm sorry. How long does it take for a person to, a reasonably intelligent person, not a dumb person like myself, but a reasonably intelligent person, to digest the information and be capable enough to actually enact the kind of process they would need to, and to actually see changes in a courtroom?
Well, if you in, which means no, act, which means no contract, if you want to use the word comprehend or correspond or to
Comprehend is good.
be knowledgeable, those three words will protect you. Then you can function in a responsible manner, and that's about 200 hours.
How long does that take to actually learn that for an average student that comes in and says, I want to learn correct syntax? How long does this process take for them to be proficient enough?
200 hours. Is that right, about 200 hours?
A couple hundred hours.
I'm not asking dollar amount, I'm asking time frame.
I've had guys learn this in 20 hours.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking more for time frame and not actual expense. So it's typically a couple weeks of solid learning and study. Is that what you're saying, David?
Yeah. And what your learning curve is.
Well, that's
some people
very
have a real
fast.
high IQ and they get it right away, and other people, been working at it for years and they still can't make sense of it.
Yeah. Okay, well that makes sense to me. I really appreciate it. So I'll let you guys go. I just wanted to say I really appreciate the time. I'm going to go through the information in the videos a little more and touch up on my sentence structure, my understanding of sentence structure. But I just wanted to say thank you very much. I appreciate it, and I learned a lot. So thank you.
Okay, guys.
All right, thanks, David. I appreciate it.
All right.
All right, have a good day, guys. Monty, thank you. I appreciate the the time listening. Do you have anything to add to this, Monty?
No, I mean, he's on point.
Yeah, I figured that.
Stay on point.
How long did it take you specifically to learn all this?
Well, I didn't just learn, just learn the syntax and all that. I learned all the procedure that goes along with it. I don't know the moment that it happened, but I've been doing it for a long time.
Mine and I've been together about 14 years now.
Yeah.
And he's probably got 30,000, 35,000 hours. He's a federal judge. He's very proficient at what he does. And he's a very good judge, and he's respected by Riverside federal judges. As a matter of fact, after we opened up the federal postal court in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 8 of the 9 judges in Riverside resigned and walked off the bench, and they haven't been back.
Yeah.
And Monty and Watson are the only 2 people at the courthouse now.
Wow.
So Monty, you're local, right? You're local to me, in other words.
Yeah, I'm actually in Idaho.
Wow,
I'm
so you're just
very close to Joe.
Yeah, we're 35 minutes away.
So we'll convene, Monty. I'd love to sit with you and work out a program if possible.
Very good.
Yeah, that sounds great. I really appreciate it. Okay, Joe, I'll get in touch with you, and you can put me in touch with Monty. We'll all kind of touch base and figure out how to get some kind of training going on this so that I understand it a lot better, obviously, than I do.
Yes, sir. Sounds good.
All right. Thank you again, Monty. David, thank you so much. I'll talk soon.
Thank you, David.
All right,
Thank
guys.
you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Have a wonderful day, guys. Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, so all of your questions, every single last question, your UCC codes, your Freeman, your all of this crap, it's adverb verb. It's false. It's fiction. It's fraud. It's wrong. You may have won in the past. You may have. But you won just because the judge had A, a little bit of mercy, or B, was just a little bit dumber than you. I don't want to live my life on dumb luck. I'm not going to spend 26 days in jail because I think I know something. I'm going to live my life correctly. I'm going to go to these court systems and I'm going to correct them. I'm not going to be a slave to them, and I'm not going to adhere to what they say. I'm going to bring the court to them via the proper language on the paper. So when you have the proper language on the paper, you have the proper documents to bring into this square building called a courthouse. So now that we know that the entire system is fraud, what are we going to do as individuals to correct that fraud? It has to go back to the individual. You have to look in the mirror and realize, I don't know everything. And you have to dig and go further. See, what happens is the ego gets stuck into the I know and I'm right mindset. And when that happens, we lose sight of everything else that is out there. You see, the eyes only take in certain bits of information. But science has already proven that there are a billion more bits of information out there that our eyes cannot pick up or see. Now, we see as pitch black room with no windows, we see darkness. You throw a bat in that room and it can fly perfectly without hitting the walls. Why? Because it has extra perceptions that we do not have. How do we gain these perceptions? We gain them by opening up the pathways in our mind. How do we open up the pathways in our mind? That's another story. That's another question. That involves Kundalini Yoga, Tantra, meditation, breath, breathing, correcting your internal structure. That is how. Religion is false. It's doctrine. It's dogma. All of that bullshit. It's all meant for control. You heard him. It's called harvesting. Human harvesting. That's what religions have done. That's what law has done. Governments, religion, it's nothing different. They're all the same thing. Please, people, you have to wake up on an individual level and get rid of all your belief systems. If you have a belief, it means you do not know. Okay? I don't believe in anything anymore. I don't believe in a God. I don't believe in a Jeebus. I don't believe in Buddha. I don't believe in anything. Because they said the kingdom of God is within man. Within man. The last place anybody ever looks. The first place people look is out there. I'm going to go look in the Bible. I'm going to go look in this religion. I'm going to go look in that. No. You need to look here. Look inside. Go within. Then you'll know the entire universe. But until now, nobody's done that. So we have to come out of ourselves and seek inside. And I mean by coming out of our ways we think, our mindset. From here, we can accomplish change. We can change the entire structure of this universe overnight if we so choose. The problem is people don't want to make that choice because of fear. You're afraid that if you get rid of the Bible and you're afraid that you're going to go to hell, fear runs your life, not anything else. Fear owns you. Fear rules you. Stop being afraid. Stop being afraid. You don't know that Jesus lived. You weren't there. You don't know there's a God. You haven't seen him. Stop believing in bullshit. Start understanding that, wait a minute, I don't know. So since I don't know, maybe there's something else that I can learn. And then you go and seek. Okay? So that's my rant. I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation. That was David-Wynn Miller, my buddy Roz, and Judge Monty Mueller. So from here, guys, I love you all, and I hope this was very educational for you. Peace.